Hey, how's it going out there, guys? Welcome to the show. Got a great one lined up for you today. Part 3, the Creator versus Atheism. As usual, if you'd like to support this channel, there's PayPal and Patreon links in the info box below. We got somewhat of a panel on here. All the principals except a couple. Nathan Oakley, sir, how are you doing?
Very well indeed. Pleasure to be here. Welcome to Ballbusters if you're watching this live.
Chocolate saying, you, sir.
Hello. Be here, buddy.
Good to be here to everybody.
I said good to be here. What's up to everybody?
Oh, I got you. You need to enunciate.
Yeah.
All right, sir.
I will when I need to.
Yeah, you will when you need to enunciate. I got you. Arwen, sir.
Yep.
Hey, hello.
How's it going out there in Holland, man?
Oh, it's a revolution. No, it's actually just kind of a cabinet crisis, and that's it. It was a kind of a letdown. It wasn't that revolutionary. It wasn't because of the COVID measures and everybody was getting sick of it. It was just some tax situation going and whatever. Watch my show, Flat Earth Early Bird.
Hey, that's at the end of it. Channel shout-outs, channel promotions are at the end of the show, not at the beginning.
Hey.
Oh, and sneaking them in.
Yeah, and I had a pretty good show today, so. But, yeah. What's today's show about?
What's cooking? Yeah, didn't you hear when I announced it? Oh, maybe you didn't. Okay, so this is part 3.
I was listening to the intro.
Yeah, you were listening to your part of the intro. Yeah, I understand. It's part 3 of Creator versus Atheism. I think we're going to wrap it on up today. We already did part 1 and part 2. We had a couple, how do you want to say, intermissions that we had to deal with before we got part 3, but we got here.
All right.
Just loosely, because I don't know what you're going to cover in this particular one. Is it going to be double slit and delayed choice quantum eraser in this one?
No, we did that the last time. It's been so long that you forgot.
Yeah, that's true.
It's been a while. We're going to go through proofs 3 and proofs 4. That is laws of thermodynamics and functional sequence specified complexity. I'm going to review briefly first to get everyone, in the flow, and then we'll go to 3 and 4, and then we'll round up with those.
And with the functional sequence specified complexity, will it be at a level that we can comprehend? Or
Yes.
will it be for advanced users only?
No. That's one of my favorite proofs because, yes, incoherent second grader can understand that one. Yeah, I love that one. It's my favorite one.
I would ask, will we be able to understand it?
Yes.
I like that one.
Okey-doke.
Yes, it's not going to, I don't need to get overcomplicated with that one. In fact, I try to break them down as far as I can. Sometimes it's difficult just from the nature of the subject, but number 3, the laws of thermodynamics, you guys have that in the bag. But functional sequence specified complexity. As soon as you see it, I think you might not be remembering it wholly, but as soon as you'll see it, you'll say, I got it.
I know the one.
Yeah. The Adam Meekin, sir. Thanks for coming by early so we can get a radio check. Appreciate that.
I had beef tagine, pumpkin salad, mate. I was not rushing that. I'm sorry, it was too good.
What? So say that one again. I'm sorry. Beef tagine.
Yeah.
The hell is that?
Tagine. Like a Moroccan beef stew. So with apricots and prunes and
What?
almonds. Toasted almonds, and then served with couscous, and that's a really nice roasted pumpkin
What
salad.
the hell are you doing, sir?
Yeah, wait there.
Sounds delicious.
What I'll do, I'll post it in the chat now. I took a picture because it was really bloody good.
Oh, a picture. Oh, yeah, fine, a picture. I can go. I thought you were going to post the recipe. I said, don't bother.
No,
It's beef and potatoes.
No.
That's what he's had.
Moroccan beef,
man.
Moroccan beef and taters. Yeah,
Oh, that looks really
there you
nice.
go.
How am I gonna do this? How am I gonna show this?
See, I was trying to get
Normally
through the
10th
show
man.
without thinking about food. Here comes
Oh,
Adam.
This will kill you. Wait till you see this. Honestly, you'll see why I didn't rush. I've not put the couscous in because that's just.
Where did you post it?
Hold on a
in
second. Go ahead. Speak amongst yourself. I'm gonna try to get it and show the audience because they ain't seeing it.
It deserves to be seen. It was that good.
All right.
This stuff goes over really
Shout out,
well.
Marie.
Goes over really well on Facebook. People love this sort of stuff.
I posted the link to the picture directly in the YouTube chat.
This is what normal, like supposedly normal people do, like take pictures of food and send it to each other, as opposed to us crazies
exactly.
who argue about thermodynamics and shit. You know.
Well, this was it, right? Back when I was a rep, I remember going up Taipei 101 when it was the tallest building in the world, and I blagged access to the roof. I'm out there, I'm on the roof, right? Fantastic. I filmed it, and the rails, there was a really high wind, which is why tourists weren't allowed out there, but I blagged my way on. And you could hear them resonating, and they're making this really high-pitched noise as the wind whipped through them. You could see forever. Amazing. You were looking over skyscrapers, and I took pictures, did a video, put it on Facebook for about 1 or 2 thumbs up. You know, next post down will be, check out my cooked breakfast. 200 thumbs up. 500 shares. People aren't interested in interesting stuff on Facebook, but they are definitely in what you've had for dinner.
I got it. 1 second. Here we go.
And
Go
by
ahead,
the way,
Ad.
there is a God. For everyone who wants to see the couscous and Moroccan beef, there is a God. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Well, when I finished eating, I thought the same thing.
That's a very loose segue. Beautiful.
Go ahead. Go ahead and you could describe it a little bit, Adam, since everyone's seeing it out there in YouTube land. Go ahead.
On the left is the beef tagine, as described, with the, I think that's a little bit of fresh coriander and toasted chopped almonds. And then on the right, you got the salad with, that's got toasted pine nuts and roasted onions and peppers and chopped herbs and those big roasted pepper thing. Oh, yeah. Lovely.
Thanks, Adam. Thanks.
Well, that's it. Now we've proven God. We can just do channel shout-outs, and that's it, right? Jobs are good.
We can wrap it up. Bob's your uncle. We're good. We can't do that, though. 1 second. See what we got going on. That does look good, Adam, although your description of it wasn't too appetizing.
Well, I'll wait for Tam's appraisal on that.
Yeah, I'm not into the prune. What did you go ahead with the beef dish one more time and go slowly and I'll stop you?
So there's just like little chopped up bits of prune and apricot in there. They just add a little bit of sweetness. Wrong. Like pineapple on pizza. Citation.
Citation.
It was Adam made.
I have no credit for that.
Nathan, as soon as you said prunes, Nathan said, wrong. Like right or wrong is even the subject. So what's it called again? Beef tagine. So how do you spell that?
I don't know. It's Moroccan.
Tagine, like
tagine. Tagine.
I-N-E? Yeah, that's what, yeah. I suppose. I don't know. You're the one cooking it.
T-A-G. Oh, well, it comes up both on Google. T-A-G. I-N-E.
What's that? What's that you say, Paula? No, don't worry. I'll edit all this out when it goes on my channel. Don't worry about
it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Was I off mute? I was just talking to my wife.
Yeah, shoot.
It's a good job you weren't there when we were talking about the breeds of Romanian dog, Nathan.
Sounds very on topic. Very, very on topic.
Well, everyone seemed a bit uppity, but everyone's going a little bit slow now. That's okay. Anything new this week? Yeah, or the past couple weeks, I'm sorry.
Everyone's had their credit card bill from Christmas, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. It didn't even strike me to bring it up, but you're correct. Okay.
That moment of silence was us all praying.
Well, it's not a bad thing to have a moment of silence for a dearly departed friend, low model. I don't see anything wrong with that.
I don't either.
Well, as we're on the subject, I was thinking about this the other day. What was the sort of state of affairs running up to the Black Swan and post Black Swan? And 2018, I'm going to say we were well into the thick of the argument. And then 2019, everything was kind of cementing into a winning position. But then 1st Jan 2020, we were actually on a properly winning path. And then as of 1st Jan 2021, I'd say we've won. There isn't really a necessity to drag out now whether or not they'll understand it. There's a percentage, doesn't matter how small, that understand the Black Swan argument enough to keep them well away from the debate anymore, because we've won. So we were winning in 2020, 2021, as far as I'm concerned. The argument in terms of the nature of the globe Earth being a thing is done and dusted. We've won. I don't know if you'd all agree. Winning in 2020, won in 21.
No, we won in 2020. It's just that now it's finally starting to sink in with the rest of them.
That's what I mean. Once you've presented your argument or dealt the death blow in metaphor, then yeah, at that point, technically, that's the winning moment. But obviously, the battle continues. The field is still full of people throwing spears and stuff. And it's only after a certain amount of time that they go, no, it is actually done and dusted. That is it. One side has actually won. But at the moment that the king's head comes off, not everyone around you realizes it. That was the situation in 2020. We were winning.
I like a metaphor, and I know we like Matrix, and to me, it's a bit now like the end of the first film. We've got up and gone, no, there is no R. And now Smith's throwing everything he can, and he's just easy. Whatever they've got, I can bat it away with one arm.
That's perfect.
You know what I mean?
We're dodging bullets.
That's perfect.
We're dodging bullets. They are using their full rompusing powers and literally scattergunning with deviations to the argument, and we are just moving like agents because we get it now. Yep.
You know the latest one? This is brilliant. It's a throwback to 2019. So I'm sure you will be acutely aware that we made the argument, admittedly at first tongue-in-cheek, that our model was Google Earth. Now, the reason for that being presented in a tongue-in-cheek manner, which is to say that Google Earth, which presents itself as a sphere when you first open it, is a flat Earth map. Well, the reason it was presented that way was because there's no drop. Well, now, on more than one occasion, I've had people who has had this argument in the last couple of weeks or last week presented the argument regards to there being no drop, that being a measurement, shows no curvature. And they give a similar response to Earth spinning and the Black Swan, which is to say, nobody claims there should be any drop.
That's the most ridiculous. Go ahead, finish up.
I'm just saying that's the response I'm getting. So you present somebody the fact that it's not measuring as curved and there isn't any drop, and Google Earth is in elevation profile presenting the world as flat, and their response is, we wouldn't expect to see Earth curve. They wouldn't expect to see drop. You wouldn't expect an elevation profile to show that Earth is curved. Those are the responses I'm getting.
Sounds very familiar, huh? Would it expect to see the geometric horizon?
You wouldn't expect to see rotation, 15 degrees nation.
Why would you
not
expect
the geometric horizon you're looking
even though it's all our claims, why would you expect to see any of our claims? This is what you guys are saying, man. Get a grip. Ballers.
What they used to say, and now they're retracting.
It's worse with Google Earth, though, isn't it? Because when you're looking at the topography, the profile, and what they're saying is we wouldn't expect to have it laid out as it would actually look on our ball. We expect you to not lay it out the topography as you would see. We want you to straighten it out and show it as if it was being viewed across a flat plane, how the topography would be viewed. And that's their excuse.
In other words, you need to imagine it.
Yeah.
Was it Rumpus the other day who said you don't have the imagination? Something like that?
Yeah, I think that show comes out on Sunday. That's when I'll release it as a brand new Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After show, because I believe it was in the after show that happened. Am I wrong? Either way, yeah, there's some very quotable quotes from that particular session with Rumpus.
Yeah, I've been waiting. I listened to today's show, and you're exactly right. What he did was, among the other train wrecks, was you took him through how there wasn't supposed to be any elevation changes, and he agreed to every one of them, and he said, yep, it's a sphere. I was dumbfounded. I don't get it.
It's flat out cognitive dissonance.
It's shocking, right? They don't know the quintessential tenet of their religion, which is 8 inches per mile flat. Drop.
Per mile.
8 inches per mile. I don't know. I don't even think they even know what it is anymore. I don't get it, ballers. It's the quintessential tenet of your religion, and you just do not. You say everything's level. Well, thanks. Welcome to Flat Earth. Snacks are in the back. Bathrooms on the left. DJs spinning requests. Smoke them if you got them.
But it's still curved in circumdicular geometry. Level is circular in circumdicular geometry. So
and donut shaped, I've been told.
What was that?
Sea level would be level everywhere on a donut. That's how nuts they are.
That was the point.
What was that?
In regards to Google, Arwin. If in their model, their world, level is curved, then to do the topography on Google Earth, that bottom x-axis should be actually representative of the curve of the Earth, shouldn't it? It should incorporate the drop, because that thing, if there is a curve, that mountain shouldn't be placed, that's 20 miles away, shouldn't be placed on a perpendicular line, should it? It should be placed at an angle based on the rate of curvature of R. That's on their graph. If they were going to show the topography, that's how it should be shown on a ball, but they don't. That's what I was saying earlier. It's level straight, If it was, then why don't you show a straight level curve on your topography maps, which would, in their world, be representative of the reality of what you're looking out on?
Precisely. If it's curved and it drops away from you at 8 inches per mile squared, then that's how it would measure. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes about it. It would fall away from you. Now, as you look over the land, and they used to compare it to Earth curve mathematics, that's precisely what they'd assert. Stuff in the distance has fallen away from you at 8 inches per mile squared. And then you go, okay, well, let's lay that out on a map and look at the ground away from you with an elevation profile. And that's what you're talking about, the ground dropping away from you. And it isn't. So it's not representative of a sphere Earth, because we're not on a sphere Earth. Now, this is application that gets used professionally to build stuff. Paid application. Plenty of examples. Just Google or YouTube search it, and you'll find plenty of examples of professionals using the pro version of Google Earth to build stuff. Well, if it wasn't accurate, then they'd have major problems. But what do they show? Well, they show it as it is, so that they can accurately represent the stuff that people are going to build on, and that's flat.
So they're sticking to the really is level, but leaving open globe zealot interpretation based on terrestrial refraction. Is that right?
Well, no, based on the cartoon. When you zoom out, when you're not taking measurements, let's see it as a whole. Well, suddenly the ground is curved. If you looked at the part of the land that you had just measured out, say you take a 100-mile stretch and you make an elevation profile and you look at it, and there's hardly any difference. For me, I'm 250 meters above sea level here, right in the center of the country. It's nothing. Well, you lay out your 100-mile stretch and you look at your elevation profile, and it shows it flat, and then you remove that from the screen, zoom right out so you've got it represented as the cartoon ball, and then you scroll that particular position that you'd measured out flat with an elevation profile to the top edge of their cartoon ball. And what do you know? That particular piece of land that you've just measured completely flat shows itself bending around a sphere. Well, it's never going to measure that way, but they can show it pictorially in their cartoon. But then when it comes down to the brass tacks of actually using the ground that you're standing on, it's flat. And that's...
Who called Ballbusters?
Sleeping Warrior.
Oh my God.
I was going to say, it's got to be Tony. I just have to hang it up there as well. It's got to be Riley.
I'm going
to... Don, if you go and start, I'll...
Tony, I'm going to bubble your eye. Okay?
Oops, sorry.
Go ahead, Nathan. He interrupted you. You were on a roll there.
No, that's it. I'm pretty much done. You know, if it measures flat and people are using it professionally and building stuff, taking into consideration the lay of the land and its elevation profile as flat, then it's flat. That's what it's measuring and being used as. That's what the land is doing. The fact that they claim that it falls away at 8 inches per mile squared when you look across the land and then compare it to a side elevation orthographic view that removes all aspect of perspective by giving the targets in a whole number, full size, actual size, feet and inches or meters, so they can remove all aspects of angular size reduction at distance, doesn't mean that the ground itself is actually falling away from you. That's their way of hijacking an effect called perspective and calling it Earth curve by way of a reified sphere edge. But Google Earth, in terms of the actual topology and how it's measuring flat. Doesn't matter that you can then zoom out from a non-physical, non-measured 2D representation of a sphere Earth with a cartoon on Google Earth and show the exact bit that you've just measured perfectly flat as being depicted as curving around the edge of a sphere. That matters not. But that's what they'll go to. Yeah, but it looks like a sphere when they show you as a cartoon. Yeah, well, it's being paid for and used and built on as flat. So who cares what it looks like in the cartoon depiction?
Right, and mathematically, you could probably even figure out like how much the flat surface, the actual projection on which it is based, is being warped gradually into a sphere as you zoom out. So there's probably even like a percentage sphere from original, like a slider you could figure out with that. So it's, yeah, when you zoom in, it's flat, just like the real world, just like they do in the movies. At ground level, it's all as it actually is because that's how things look. And if it was different, spherical based, everybody would see there's something off. Like, what is this weird mini planet or something? It's weird. But then when you go away from the Earth, even with CGI and spaceships and all that, yes, then they have to kind of switcheroo it. And then suddenly you look at the spherical world that you kind of just left, right? Got out of the atmosphere. And then it's all spherical. So it's basically the same trick they're pulling, except they're doing it through math with the model warping from flat to sphere in Google.
I remember when you showed me it halfway through, so at the transitional stage on what was Google Street View. So about 2 years ago, when you came on the show and showed me in one of the pre-shows that as you moved around in Google Street View with a now spherical Earth, because they've made a big deal about them converting it to actually have a sphere when it didn't before, but you could zoom out and do the same thing. Anyway, when you were halfway through, so you're not using the actual land that could be measured with a elevation profile, you showed that as you moved around the map, the scale changed. So along the bottom right-hand corner of the map, it shows the scale that you're using. And all you'd be doing is moving your mouse and sort of dragging the cursor so you move across the land as it shows it on a sphere. And the scale would be jumping up and down all over the place. Do you remember showing me?
Oh, yes, and it's still there to this day. It's still there. So,
right,
it's, we get to know this certain type of map layout, and that's what it's based on. But when you actually hover over those locations, the scale is different as in other locations. So this apparent globe model is not the scale. It's completely warped.
Yeah, the way they've depicted it is just so it looks familiar in terms of how they've claimed it's photographed at various different zoom lengths that change in size and scale. But in reality, you can say what's considered, at least in the program, at a fixed distance or fixed height above the ground looking down on it, like you were a quote-unquote satellite. But you're not changing your elevation, you're just moving across the land and seeing that the scale underneath you is changing vastly. So what you could see as about 100 miles suddenly changed to, no, you're only seeing 50 miles. Then you move a bit further and no, now you're actually seeing 300 miles. But what you're seeing on the picture doesn't change. It just represents how it's wrapped around a sphere in Google Earth.
Can I summarize our position? Oh, geez, who's that? Brian?
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, wow.
Can I just point something out while Huey attends to that? So just before the show started, I set up a load of limiters and compressors and gain modifiers on the show. So now Huey's a bit more sensitive to it. I love
it. But yeah, and it's always like for Ballbusters, you know, the ones that don't call in the middle of the show, it's kind of a good idea to come before the show so I can do radio checks so you don't kill my audience. Just FYI. Now, like I was saying, can I summarize the Baltards' position if you guys don't mind?
Yeah, go ahead.
We live on a sphere without curves. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the flat sphere. I predicted it with my very first live hangout. The flat sphere.
I guess that's it. That's what it is.
Well, there is a rebuttal. You don't understand. Rebuttal is you don't understand. Level means curved.
Yeah, that's an oxymoron. That's worse than acrobatic rainbows, military intelligence, and married bachelors. Those two, that doesn't work.
Oh, so address the second bit and ignore the first bit then. You just ignored the first part.
Yeah, that's just communist mind control, dude.
Wait a second, Chocolate was rumpusing you. Go ahead, Chocolate.
You missed the first part of my rebuttal.
Yes, I did. Go ahead, Nathan. Sorry.
You don't understand?
Oh, you mean I don't understand that level is flat and horizontal, and curved is the antithesis of that, of those?
Yeah, that's correct. You don't understand. Level is curved. I just told you that, and you've just said something different.
Yeah. So let's define level. Having no part higher than another. Level. That's what the definition of it is. Makes sense. Do curves have parts higher than the other? Or other parts?
Yeah, that would imply
not in
elevation.
A circumdicular sense.
That would imply elevation, and elevation is something that you would expect to see curving. That's something I've actually heard from a baller. Just repeating it.
Yeah, you heard it this morning. Well, it was a tape version. You heard it again this morning. I listened to that this morning, by the way.
Well, thank you for your support. Subscribe today, Nathan Oakley.
Yeah, the ballers never like to reconcile that you might actually approach what the Earth and the ball in a Euclidean sense. They always like to think in circumdicular things. So yeah, in circumdicular geometry, level can mean curved. You know, that's what they like to stick to that option, so they can keep things spherical.
But you can't. QE is right, even though I jest. It is actually an oxymoron. They are the antithesis of one another.
What's happening now is the Joe Coffey and Betty Breadmaker are getting hold of these things, and they're listening to these ballers. Listen, the noose and the vice is slowly, I shouldn't say slowly, it is getting tighter and tighter, right? And just to let everyone know, I've reached the top 50 boneheaded comments that ballers ever made. I'm at top 50. I'm going to publish them. I might publish them after the show's over. I don't know. But I got the top 50. And I'll tell you what, if an incoherent second grader would listen to you guys, they'd just roll their eyes, laugh out loud, and walk away. That's how bad this is. Get ready.
Is there any chance?
I'm glad it finished, but who got the last slot, John?
That's what I was going to ask. I was going to say the one that completed the list. That was exactly what I was going to ask.
It was retroactive. It was soundly.
Oh,
what was the quote?
You don't know what you're talking about. You know how to measure an elliptoid.
The elliptoid.
The elliptoid made the list.
Yes, it did.
Excellent. Excellent.
All right, so we're here because of the reason why that these fanatical religious zealots are claiming that we're living on a spinning ball space monkey religion, because they're religious. And what I'm going to get into today is one of the reasons why they try to stick to it. Because listen closely, the pseudoscience priests are trying to hide the creator, this is the important part, from the can't fog a mirror masses. That's the important part. Don't lose focus on that. All right? So, we ready to get started?
Amen, brother.
Let's go.
Amen. Yeah, I seen that.
And a woman. Sorry.
Let's see what we got here. Let's roll. Like I said, I'm just going to review this because it's been a few weeks since we've been here. So I'll review it, reinforce it with the third proof, and then we'll move on from there. So, creation, right? They're not even parroting the correct pseudoscience. So when they say, oh, you're a creationist, what? So are you. You're just not aware of it. They just make this stuff up because, like I said, they're not even parroting their pseudoscience correctly. Here we go. These are some top guys. We got Alexander Vilenkin, Professor Paul Davies, and the late Stephen Hawking, right? They're going to tell you, but you ain't going to listen. Here we go. Alexander Vilenkin, many worlds in one. It is said that an argument is what convinces reasonable men, and a proof is what takes convince even an unreasonable man. With the proof now in place, cosmologists can no longer hide behind the possibility of a past eternal universe. There is no escape. They have to face the problem of a cosmic beginning. That's the key word, beginning. The universe began, and they know it with 100% absolute certainty. Now, Professor Vilenkin didn't say anything about how they know. He just said there is no escape. He was pretty emphatic with this statement, don't you think? I wonder why. Let's get Professor Paul Davies. The big questions in the beginning. The universe can't have existed forever. We know there must have been an absolute beginning a finite time ago. Again, quite emphatic, right? They're usually not this emphatic. They're usually not too sure. But this is coming across the screen as they know this is absolute fact. And again, in this situation, Paul Davies doesn't go into the reason why they know or how they know, right? We'll leave that to Stephen Hawking. From the beginning of time, this argument about whether or not the universe had a beginning persisted into the 19th and 20th centuries. It was conducted mainly on the basis of theology and philosophy, with little consideration of observational evidence. This may have been reasonable given the notoriously unreliable character of cosmological observations until fairly recently. The cosmologist Sir Arthur Eddington once said, "Don't worry if your theory doesn't agree with the observations because they're probably wrong. But if your theory disagrees with the second law of thermodynamics, it is in bad trouble." In fact, the theory that the universe has existed forever is in serious difficulty, red train wrecked, with the second law of thermodynamics. The second law states that disorder always increases with time, like the argument about human progress. It indicates that there, what? Must have been a beginning. Must. That's why they're so confident, because they got the second and first laws behind them, mainly the second law. And let's be accurate because Sir Arthur Eddington didn't actually say, don't worry. He didn't put it as light as this. Let's take a look at what he actually said. Sir Arthur Eddington, Nature of the Physical World. If your theory is found to be against the second law of thermodynamics, I can give you no hope. There is nothing for you, your theory, but to collapse in the deepest humiliation. Right? That's what he actually said. You're finished. If you don't think you're a creationist, you're done. Right? You're not parroting your pseudoscientists correctly. You're just making stuff up. And you're busted. So like I said, everyone must be a creationist. The only question is who or what caused it. See, that's the question. That's it right there. So everyone's a creationist. This is the outstanding question, right? That's what we're answering today and the previous weeks. There are only two possible answers. That is ontological primitives to that question. Only two worldviews that can account or can be held to account for how we, that is, the universe and us, are here. Nature or matter, that's unguided, or intelligent agency, God guided. There is no third option. Only two choices, folks. From George Wald, Nobel laureate, medicine and physiology, listen closely. The reasonable view was to believe in spontaneous generation. The only alternative to believe in a single primary act of supernatural creation. There is no third position. So let's just break this down for you. One, the reasonable view was to believe in spontaneous generation. That is nature creating itself from nothing. That's nature unguided. The only alternative, a single primary act of supernatural creation, God guided. There is no third position. Ergo, it's a true dichotomy, and there she is right there for you. That can't offer a third choice. If you outright refute, rule out one of those choices, then based on the laws of logic, the disjunctive syllogism, you ipso facto must believe the other. It's absolute fact. Like I said, disjunctive syllogism, a logical argument of the form that if there are only two possibilities, like I just showed you, and one of them is ruled out, then guess what? The other, therefore, must be true. There it is, folks. Natural phenomena, that's what atheism or philosophical naturalism and realism dictate, or intelligent design, theism, idealism. That's it. That's your only two choices. Choose wisely. I'm going to stop right here because this is the basis, this is the hard rock foundation of everything that follows, right? Any questions or comments about this?
That's the ontological primitives, right? And you can't have any other third choice before anybody in his smart house in the chat. So, what about this third choice?
I remember before I was a flat earther getting into looking at, I think then it was called intelligent design and Stein's video. And there's a point where he's interviewing Dawkins. And he's got him by the short and curlies even at this point. And Dawkins is, this, I wouldn't have described it as the ontological primitive choice there. But you know he's got him. And basically Dawkins' retort to that is to say, yeah, well, I accept that, yeah, human DNA must have been programmed, but it must have been aliens who brought it to us.
Might as well say God.
It doesn't escape the problem, does it? All it does is you put the issue to another place in their spacey universe.
Yes, it kicks the can. It kicks the can.
Another name to the intelligence. Still have the same things. Either intelligent design.
The alternative is spontaneous generation on another planet, which is still just as absurd.
It's kicking. It's opening. He's opening the gates for an infinite regress fallacy before, and he's also kicking the can down the road. What was it you were saying, QE? Sorry. A quick shout out to Eagle Plane Nanko, who smashed your super chat, but also a shout out to, I think his name's Mountain Smithy. He asked the question, any scientific evidence that you can get something from nothing? And I'm in the chat saying, yeah, you've hit the nail right on the head. That's what this all boils down to, right? You can't have nature creating anything. It's the first law of thermodynamics violation. So any scientific evidence? Well, no, you can't create something out of nothing. So what comes before that? Well, you must have had a creator. I know I'm jumping ahead, but just somebody in the chat mentioned it right at this early stage. I thought I might as well give them kudos.
Yeah, like I was saying before, that's just kicking the can down the road. And if you say aliens, because that's the number one answer I get for the third choice, that falls under intelligent agency itself.
Yeah, that's why I said you might as well say God. Unless you're opening up your infinite regress fallacy. When you say aliens, well, you might as well say what he's describing for that to make sense is something that comes before the first law of thermodynamics violation of it all creating itself. Impossible. But if you say aliens, well, I know you've got to have the alien come before the actual creation of anything. Well, ergo, you're just saying God. Unless, of course, like I say, they're just going to move it onto an infinite regress fallacy. Well, who created the aliens on that planet? Well, the aliens on the planet over there. And so it goes on.
Yes, sir. Just kicking the can down the road. I always like that one. Did anyone hear any other third or fourth choices?
That it supposedly always has been there. Remember that?
Oh, that it's always been here. Yeah, but that's cooked. We're going to get into that right now. Not right now, but here in a couple seconds. And Blanken, Paul Davies, and Hawkins already destroyed that with the second law of thermodynamics. Like I said, we'll get into the details of that here in a minute.
I was going to say, Owen probably realizes entropy overcomes that argument that he's leading. It's that topic of show, right?
Yep.
Just one of these things that I've picked up on, and people trying to pose some alternative view, and this one did kind of stand out. I think it's where Schemo hang on to that at some point, and guy. But yeah, they didn't really stand up.
I just heard this the other day, in fact. I think it was yesterday. They said there were thousands of other choices, and then the guy retracted and said there were 12, and I was, okay, go ahead. And funny, I didn't hear even the third choice. Shocking.
Right, just repeated the ontological primitives. That was it.
Yeah, he said there were thousands. Then he said, "Oh, I'd like to correct myself. There's about 12." Okay, start off with the third one. Of course, they just went on to another subject, right? Yep, there's no third choice, ladies and gentlemen. The two ontological primitives stand. They cannot be overthrown. Either one or the other.
Well, not really. It's just one.
Yeah. Yes, we're going to get to that right now. So, go ahead. Final thoughts on it?
I was just thinking, like, what would you say to people that theorize or fantasize, however you please, that humans may not be like the first species, that there were like previous, that the Adam story, Adam and Eve story is technically fiction, and that originally we were created by the creator, but it was like previous versions that eventually, changed.
That's what I'm saying, Arwen.
Rebuilt.
Hawkins kind of falls back onto, whether that's some kind of Nephilim creation from whatever, do you know what I mean? They're still falling. That's fine. And as Nathan said, if you want to kick the can to there, fine, move it there. You've still got the same issue to deal with, haven't you?
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah, I like to describe that as kicking the can down the road.
Yes. Yes, you do, don't you? Yeah, that's copyrighted.
Yeah, we'll get to it though, right? Who created the creator's creator is no different to who created the alien's alien.
Yep. We're going to get to that. That's going to wrap everything up. All right. So, like I said, we reviewed. I'm not going to go over the first two proofs or information or anything. We'll get right to the third proof, which reinforces the review that I just undertook. So, the laws of thermodynamics. So, the first law of thermodynamics, the total amount of matter or energy in the universe is constant. That is, what they're saying is nature or natural law cannot create or destroy matter or energy. if you take that in combination with the second law of thermodynamics, which states the amount of energy available for work is running out, the universe is moving inexorably to maximum entropy or heat death. I call it the big chill. So, taking those two statements into account, you can simply deduce if the total amount of matter or energy is constant and the amount of usable energy is decreasing, then the universe will end. Like I said, the heat death or the big chill of the universe. Ergo, it had a beginning and not the Big Bang pseudoscience train wreck. We already dashed that into pieces. So, since the first law states that nature or natural law cannot create or destroy matter or energy, and since the universe had a beginning, second law of thermodynamics, and since there are only two choices, nature versus intelligent design, for how, the how of that beginning, and since matter or nature can't pre-exist before its existence, then poof itself into existence, and before that, poof itself from nothing into pre-existence, therefore, a creator. See how that goes? Want to stop right there? Any questions?
To Tony Whitcomb for the super chat. Did you want to read it? Because I can't have this page and that page open on my iPad at the same time.
Let me see it. 1 second.
I can read it.
I got it. Look at an octopus for as an example. That would have to be intelligently designed, and it's not even top of the food chain, but that can't be made from a Big Bang. Makes no sense. Yep. It's worse than that, right? Back to Betty's appeal, right? Go ahead, Nathan.
I was going to say, didn't that get covered on the last show as well with the sandcastle?
Yeah, we're going to get to that.
Or was that in this show?
No, we're going to get to that. Yeah, it's like I said, Tony, it's much worse than that. You're correct, but like I said, Betty used to say, get your own dirt. And there's a reason for that, right? It's a quantum mechanical reason, because they can't have matter. Goes back to the second proof without a knower of the which path information. So it's much worse than portrayed than that octopus. That's for sure. But you are correct.
The full joke. If Betty's not here, it suddenly falls on my shoulders to actually put this joke out.
Yes,
there
it does.
A joke.
Yes.
Fine. Okay, so God and man having a little quarrel, and man says to God, "I don't need you. We can create life all on our own. We are easily advanced enough to achieve a life without your assistance." And God says, "Okay, how about it?" There you do. So man starts to gather up a pile of dirt, and God goes, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa. Get your own dirt."
Exactly. It's quite profound, and it's 100% accurate. No hyperbole in that whatsoever. Because you can't have dirt, you can't have matter without first having the necessary antecedent, a knower. Simple as that. That's experimentally validated, by the way. That's science. So we're going to get into that right now. So let's summarize.
If you
okay, go ahead, Adam.
I was going to say, even if you gave him the dirt, right, it would still be incumbent upon man to write his own program, not just steal the program that's already been done. Just hijack how DNA fits together, which has already been pre-programmed. You need your own programming if you're going to give him dirt, at least. You wouldn't be allowed to hijack the programming as well.
Oh, this is brilliant, because this can convert into a matrix analogy. Exactly right. So in that joke, imagine, just so you can remove yourself or put yourself once removed from the example, if you have Neo in the Matrix and he says, "I can create the programs within this matrix," and then he starts utilizing all the stuff that's around him, the code that's all around him. Well, the guy who's created the code in the first place goes, "What are you doing? You can't just start yanking bits of my code out of this matrix saying you can create your own. Obviously, you've got to start with your own code." That's what Adam's saying in terms of DNA. Well, the same principle applies. In terms of the joke, it's like, well, you're going to say that you can create life. you've got to create the building blocks first, not just start gathering up the stuff that's already created.
Right, and who arranged all matter to function like it does in the first place? You know, because I see that as a design on its own, like how things arrange themselves, how chemistry works, how everything works, and the balance in the realm. That is pre-designed. It's designed to work that way.
Exactly. So a designer would be required, because nature isn't going to poof this stuff into existence of its own volition. That's the first law of thermodynamics violation.
Well, even if it was designed to cause nature to create that into existence, then nature was designed to create it into existence as a program.
Yeah, your infinite regress fallacy ain't going to fly. No, it's just got to have a creator at the beginning.
Well, it did, no, but I'm saying, like, even if there was some kind of self-creation, that would have been part of the design of some original entity.
Yeah, but that self-creation, as you're terming it, to be paradoxical, isn't true, because it's not self-creating. In other words, if you create a program to create a pattern of its own volition, it hasn't. You've created it to create the pattern.
Right, but that was also my point. I'm just saying more like manifesting. It would come into being. Things come into being because nature has been designed and arranged for that to be able to be possible.
Now you're thinking of no. You're thinking of reproduction as opposed to production.
Yeah, no, I think we're reasoning on different levels here, because I do agree with the ontological primitive. It's just, it always fascinated me that potentially maybe things can kind of like sort of come in existence as part of some design that we don't completely understand about how the system works. But if it would have been designed that way for that to arrive.
Well, then we're in agreement.
Yes. Ah.
Did you say ha? Nice.
Yes, I did.
All right. Ready to roll?
Do it.
Yep. So to summarize thus far, number 1, the universe had a beginning. Number 2, the universe is made of matter. Number 3, matter is the consequent, a knower is the necessary antecedent. See quantum mechanics, the first law and second law of thermodynamics just above. 4, therefore a creator. It's very simple. P.S. Philosophical naturalism, realism, aka atheism, is pummeled and eviscerated. Your only other choice, atheists, you guys, you must assert that matter pre-existed before it existed, then poofed itself into existence. Before that, it poofed itself from nothing into pre-existence. That is a train wreck of a dumpster fire that is barely able to encapsulate in language. So, that dumpster fire, you see this? All this directly violates the first law of thermodynamics, the second law of thermodynamics, quantum mechanics, and remember, by the way, quantum mechanics, the laws of physics are always quantum mechanical laws. You don't have separate laws for big and small things, folks. Chair, professor of physics at Yale. It's just that simple. And once physics goes down, right? Once you violate that, then everything else beneath it goes down. That's chemistry, biochemistry, that they fall under physics. You clowns. I heard somebody the other day say, well, he isn't a physicist, he's a chemist. Chemistry, biochemistry, biology all follow the laws of physics. The laws of physics, and physics is the mother. Unbelievable, Dunning-Kruger. Number 5, the laws of information go. And number 6, ground squirrel level common sense vaporizes. Now, isn't this dumpster fire not only belief without evidence, but belief in the face of contradicting evidence? The best part, creationists, i.e., you know who I'm talking about, Christians, are called what? What are we called, right? Science deniers. So Christians are called science deniers when atheists directly violate the first law, second laws of thermodynamics, quantum mechanics, that's all of physics, all of chemistry and biochemistry. Yep. Makes sense to me. Let's go on a little sidebar. Religion versus science, or religion or faith versus science. This is old bait and switch, right? I used to dog out website owners for populating their subject material with this title, Faith versus Science. You'll see it everywhere. You still see it today, right? It's a train wreck, right? All this is a bait and switch. I'll show you. The powers that need not be couch or frame the argument as science versus faith, right? That's how they do it. Because religion is belief without evidence. Faith, in other words. Faith, belief that does not rest on logical proof or material evidence. That's from the American Heritage Dictionary in 1991. Versus science, and of course what they're trying to ride here is the scientific method. And couch it in those terms. Let's take a closer look. So, like I said, on its face, it's a proxy or juxtaposition on the methods. Faith, the method, is belief without evidence, which is factually incorrect. We'll get to that. Versus science, the method, the scientific method, which is also incorrect because it's the masqueraders. They're using pseudoscience. They're not using the scientific method. So it's a convoluted juggle scrabble. That's all it is. We'll get to that. In reality, the so-called disciplines that are screaming from the rooftops that there is no God or no creator are who? Well, the ones that don't follow the scientific method. Remember the clowns I showed you before, right? We all know this. Paleontology, anthropology, archaeology, geology, evolutionary biology, and yes, I'm still laughing, and whatever that is. Theoretical physics, that's non-experimental, by the way. Astrophysics, astronomy, and cosmology. What do they all do in unison from the rooftops? Everyone knows, right? There is no God. Wonder why that is. Is that a coincidence? But remember, crocheting is more scientific than all these clowns combined. So the science part in science versus faith is actually religion. And biblical faith, remember, has substance and evidence. Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Another tiny little problem. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. Prove all things. Hold fast that which is good. Prove all things? What? Does this sound like a rally call to believe without evidence? Is Christianity a religion? Nope. It's religion versus faith. This is the actual argument that they're putting forward with the facade of science versus faith. This is it. Religion versus blind faith. That's the juxtaposition with different words. Right? Science versus faith. Yeah. Let's flesh out the true dichotomy. Atheism, let's review. Atheism directly violates the first law, second law of thermodynamics, quantum mechanics, that's all of physics, which takes chemistry, biochemistry, and biology with it. The laws of information and ground squirrel level common sense. And again, isn't this dumpster fire not only belief without evidence, but belief in the face of contradicting evidence? So that's another layer on top. So that's religion. This over here is willfully blind, fanatical religious zealotry. That's the difference. That's what they are. Willfully blind, fanatical religious zealots. And they rail at religion. The irony. Who fell for the false dichotomy, science versus faith? So in reality, the true, actual argument is this. Scientifically falsified fanatical religion, that's pseudoscience, versus intelligent agency, God. That's the argument. That's what all the sites need to topic their subtopics with. Not science versus faith. Scientifically falsified fanatical religion, pseudoscience versus intelligent agency, God. I hope that helps a lot of people. Questions, comments on this one?
Yes. I think that in a way, atheism really is just the know you religion, because everything that it says about the opponents, in this case, theists, is just a projection. Like they are exactly doing what they accuse the opponent of, and like yeah, I think that this trick has also migrated on into all kinds of systems, fortunately, and society suffers from that systematic application of just doing something and then accusing your opponents of what you're doing. And yeah, atheism definitely partakes in that.
It's much worse. Ask an atheist to define atheism.
I think I was got a point though, where you're describing it as a bait and switch, Arwin, saying a lot of the things that are being accused of the opponent are actually things that they're doing themselves, making it a projection. I mean, you're right. It is also a bait and switch in the aspect that they've taken something that is claimed to be scientific and put it as the opponent to a faith basis, when in reality, their claim of having the science as the base isn't true in the first instance. Because what they're actually going to be giving you isn't science, it's pseudoscience.
Yes, and that's just in the field of science and knowledge.
I got the same feeling there, Arwin. John was going through that. It reminded me of the edge. You know what I mean? Don't talk about the edge because that's their issue. They deflect. So where's your baller's edge? And it's the same here. It's a reflection where if they apply the same standard to themselves, it highlights how incorrect they are.
Right, so it's like a preemptive strike tactic.
Yes. Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
with the edge. Just like with the edge. Attack us. Whoa, you'll fall off your edge. Well, your edge is reified. You get me?
No, they get it from
to attack our edge and discuss theirs.
They get it from the incoherent Hillary Clinton Academy of charging others what you do before you say anything. That's what's happening here.
And one physicist. One quiet admission, based on the beginning of that, to highlight the point there. Physics is the study of the natural world, of which chemistry is a subdivision of that.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. That I had a comment I was listening, because that's what I do, is listen to numpties, right? And they said somebody provided a citation for I think, was it the second law? I think it was the first law of thermodynamics. You know what? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. And they said, well, that gentleman, he's a PhD chemist. What is he talking about physics for? I couldn't believe it. You just bashed your face, right? You bashed yourself in the face with a spade shovel and don't even realize, and then laugh about it. I couldn't believe it. But no, you know what? I shouldn't be surprised. They're numpties. Dunning-Kruger, one each. Epistemology from Wiki. You just don't realize how stupid a statement that was, sir. I hope you're listening.
I remember getting schooled on that as like a 17-year-old because I hated physics. I went to do A-levels and I did it for a year and then changed to psychology. I remember saying I hate physics. I love chemistry. And that's when I got that schooling at that age. What are you on about? Chemistry is physics, you doofus.
Did they say doofus?
No, it was probably something a lot sharper and not for family hearing back in them days.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. It's really
allowed to be honest with you back then.
Yes. That's a very good point. We should do a show on that. All right. Any other comments with the bait and switch? Everyone sees it?
Let's go.
All right. My favorite proof. It's always been my favorite. Did I make this one first? No, I made this one second, way, way back in the day. Right. I love it for its simplicity. It sounds like it's going to be a handful, but it's actually not. So number 4, functional sequence specified complexity. The hallmarks reveal intent, purpose, planning, choice, interlinked systems, often with contingency, contrived, without deterministic law-like necessity. There are 3 types of complexity. Number 1, random sequence complexity, ordered sequence complexity, and functional sequence specified complexity. If you listen to these arguments, right, everyone will talk about complexity and how complexity how it can arise. No. You have to get hyper specific in what type of complexity you're talking about. If I hear somebody say complexity and they don't break them down like this, there's a rooster in the hen house. Whoever's speaking, he's getting ready to railroad you. So just get ready. Okay? I love it when they do to me. They do this to me. They bring up complexity. It usually only ever happens once. Because they feel the wrath of Khan. So, let's identify what these look like. Random sequence complexity is just like how it sounds, right? It's an aftermath of a tornado. Ordered sequence complexity, again, is just like how it sounds. Crystals, snowflakes, sand dunes, fractals are examples of ordered sequence complexity, as opposed to functional sequence specified complexity. It puts the lotion in the basket. Sandcastles, the genetic code, barbecue grills, Indy cars, hyper nanotech machines and robots, kinesin, ATP synthase, flagellum, cilia, ad nauseum, and others ad nauseum. Right? So this is very easy to discern and differentiate between the 3 types. So RSC, random sequence, and ordered sequence complexity is a nature construct, whereas FSC is an intelligent design construct. The difference between this, and this. You see the dichotomy. You see the differences here. Yeah? Should be driving that home. This is functional sequence specified complexity, right? A single primitive cell, the most primitive cell that you could come up with in biology. It dwarfs this sandcastle's functional sequence complexity by exponential magnitudes. To make it perfectly clear. So, random sequence complexity mixed with ordered sequence complexity versus functional sequence specified complexity. Very easy to tell the difference, right? Let's go with the origin of life, one of the grand poobahs, Leslie Orgel. He is the father of origin of life research. Back in 1973, listen to what he says. In brief, living organisms are distinguished, like I just said, by their specified complexity. Thanks, Leslie. You're done. Crystals are usually taken as prototypes of simple, well-specified structures because they consist of a very large number of identical molecules packed together in a uniform way. Lumps of granite or random mixtures of polymers are examples of structures that are complex but not specified. The crystals fail to qualify as living because they lack complexity. The mixtures of polymers fail to qualify because they lack specificity. So he's shouting this from the rooftops. I love him for it, right? He just destroyed his own religion. He was an atheist, by the way, and an evolutionist. I don't understand how educated, intelligent men can't see this right in front of their face. From the father of information theory, H.P. Yockey. No, it's not Claude Shannon. It's H.P. Yockey. Listen to this. The attempts to relate the idea of order, that's ordered sequence complexity, with biological organization or specificity must be regarded as a play on words that cannot stand careful scrutiny. Thank you very much. This, folks, is a joke. The comparison. Informational macromolecules can decode genetic messages and therefore can carry information because the sequence of the bases or residues is affected very little, if at all, by self-organizing physicochemical factors. It's over. It is OVER, Oscar, Victor, Echo, Romeo. He just distinguished them like I just distinguished the differences above. Ordered sequence complexity or random sequence complexity versus functional sequence complexity. He just did it right here for you himself. Now to Ilya Prigogine, the king of the second law of thermodynamics in current times. Nobel Prize winner from Physics Today. Listen closely. The point is that in a non-isolated, that is in an open system, there exists a possibility for formation of ordered, keyword, low entropy structures at sufficiently low temperatures. This ordering principle is responsible for the appearance of ordered, he says it again, ordered structures, such as crystals, as well as for the phenomena of phase transitions. That's snowflakes, an example of. Listen closely. Unfortunately, this principle, the one he spoke about above, cannot explain the formation of biological structures. Kablooey. Clown shows. Kablooey, it's over. Right? My word. I don't even know why I have to go over this. By the way, no amount of random sequence complexity or ordered sequence complexity or the combination thereof will ever lead to functional sequence specified complexity. Not ever. That sand dune will never make a sandcastle by itself. Not happening. Examples of functional sequence specified complexity. You got two functional proteins here. They're both functional proteins, but there's a big difference. Cholecystokinin is a peptide hormone, like I said, functional protein produced in the mucosal epithelium of the small intestine and stimulates release of digestive enzymes from the pancreas, vital for digestion and absorption. Without it, you die. Albumin, on the other hand, it is also a functional protein. It is only produced by the liver. It consists of a single polypeptide chain of 580 amino acids. Of its many functions, its main function is to maintain intravascular oncotic colloidal osmotic pressure. Without it, you die. These are functionally specific, sequentially complex. You cannot interchange them. They are specifically designed for their specific roles and their specific functions. A lot of people have a difficult time with this concept. If you're still having a case of the willful stupids with complexity, remember, when you hear complexity and only complexity, you're about to get railroaded. If you're still having a case of the willful stupids without complexity or mindlessly parroting pseudoscience priests, call or email the SETI Institute, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and ask him how they tell the difference between random sequence complexity and ordered sequence complexity and functional sequence specified complexity. They'll tighten your shot group right quick. Information, all of biology, that is life, the genetic code, replication, transcription, translation, all metabolic pathways, all of physics, that's quantum mechanics. Basically, all of reality are the quintessential examples of functional sequence specified complexity. Therefore, simple, a creator. How you like me now? I love that proof. Let's tie up some loose ends. Max Planck, acceptance speech, 1918, Nobel Prize in Physics. Listen closely. As a man who has devoted his whole life to the most clear-headed science, to the study of matter, I can tell you, as a result of my research about atoms, this much. All matter originates and exists only by virtue of a force, which brings the particle of an atom to vibration and holds the most minute solar system of the atom together. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious, intelligent mind. This mind is the matrix of all matter. What would happen if Max Planck said that on the nightly news this evening? What would happen to him? What you think? Right? He could never say that. Even though this isn't correct, they weren't sure about that back then. I'll give him a pass with that one. But you see what he's telling you. All these guys knew this back in the day. Quantum mechanics was screaming this. Right? Werner Heisenberg, pioneer quantum mechanics, Nobel Prize in physics. What would happen if he said this on the nightly news today? Listen closely. The first gulp from the glass of natural science will turn you into an atheist. But at the bottom of the glass, God is waiting for you. What? He wouldn't make it out of the building, would he? Ha! Unbelievable. All these guys knew this back in the day. Why don't we know it now? We're so advanced. Why don't we know this now? Why aren't we listening to the fathers that discovered all this stuff? Right? Don't hear much about this, right? Yeah, shocking. Well, there's a reason behind that. So let's tie the last two loose ends. Who created the creator's conundrum? This was authored by Richard Dawkins. He promoted this. What a numpty knucklehead. Well, Richard, he is the creator. The creator can't be created, or else he couldn't be the creator. By simple definition. Duh. Furthermore, logically, for finite things to exist, that is, the universe and us, there must be an eternal, always was source. There must be. You can't get out of the logic. Always had to be, for finite things, an eternal, always was source. It's a contingent necessity, antecedent fact. See Aristotle, prime unmoved mover, the first cause. To deny this, you are forced into a logical checkmate, then reduced to introducing an infinite regress fallacy. Right? It's fallacious. Again, nothing can create itself because that would mean it existed prior to its existence. That's logical seppuku. Also, there can only be one creator. Considering more than one, even for a Planck time, is logical seppuku. Number two, as for the philosophical naturalist or realist or atheist, they believe that the universe created them. So what I do is I turn it on them. I say, who created your creator? The universe. That always gets a few laughs. I get some special names with that one. And finally, like I said, who is the creator? A systematic method. This is exactly what I did back in the day. Exactly. So, since we know from the laws of thermodynamics and quantum mechanics that whoever it is, the creator must be outside of what we call the universe. He's got to be. So, what do? You make a list of every single purported deity and their respective claims on how they or the universe came to be. That's all you got to do. Why? Because these are usually old guys, right? Back in the day, they wouldn't have an understanding of the first and second laws of thermodynamics and how the universe had to begin, must be a beginning. They wouldn't know that. So it's easy to expose any of them to say that the product or the cross of the ones that exclaim that they are the product of the universe, well, they can't be the product of the universe. Or claim that the universe has existed forever, right? They can't do that. Right? They could do it then at their time, but they can't do it in lieu of what we know now because we identify those as pretender clowns. Right? So it's easy. Just go down the list and start crossing them off. Because remember, like we said, if you claim that the universe has existed forever, but Paul Davies and Stephen Hawking and Vilenkin destroyed that. The universe can have existed forever. We know that there must have been an absolute beginning a finite time ago. They're done. They're finished. They were just, how we call that? Chalking out their ass. They're busted. Right? They're pretender clowns. So once you do that, well, there's only one of those purported deities left standing. Who's that? Well, that's the Alpha and the Omega, folks. folks. That's Jesus Christ. The largest escrow closing in the history of the universe is at the door. Where do you stand? All glory to him. Questions, comments?
I really like the sandcastle, my favourite example, because it's so simple to understand, right? When you show the sand dunes and say, well, no amount of time that passes will ever create this, and then you show a sandcastle. So simple to understand.
I knew you'd like.
Especially when you contrast it with the sand dune. Like as soon as I saw that, I remember seeing that in that one of your presentations, like 4 years ago or something. And as soon as I saw that, I was just like, okay, I understand exactly what he's talking about. And then you say, and a cell is how much more complex than that sandcastle?
I can't put it into language.
Right. So you stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Insane.
For me, John, it's the kind of the reverse. You mentioned the thing that did me with that, and you mentioned that anybody that starts to look into this, you start out as an atheist. Oh, okay, look, I can see the plans. Not that difficult. But when you get to the bottom of the glass, there is only God there. There's the realization of true majesty of what's unfolding in front of you from a biochemistry point. And the one that sold it to me was kind of the reverse. It was the word you used, flagellum, in there. Something as simple as the move from a splodgy little cell to a little sperm-looking cell, a cell with a spinny little tail, the flagellum. And to look at the complexity of what that was, that there was 8 polypeptides there, arranged in a specific way, that then allow this tail to work like a turbine and move. And if you've ever played Simon with just 4 colours, the combinations available there, again with Simon, you're given the 4 colours to create something that is basically a nanotechnology turbine that is also functional and drive. To have something like that, try and pretend you could have any intermediary thing works, but you look at it from, and don't jump on me, from that evolutionary perspective that this is formed by randomness. I'd say go back to playing Fireman, Mastermind, all those kind of probability. It's just an impossibility mathematically just to get from a single cell to a single cell with a little widgy tail so it can move. The rest of the things, when you talk about albumin and all the complex interlacings of the body's biochemistry, just in digestion and blood chemistry you mentioned there, to get to that and to have any form of balance with it either working, just not mathematically feasible in any way. And I think most folks that get to that level of understanding of what's going off, that it's just not a blobby cell that just does it, are left with those ontological premises. And I don't think most people, when they think about it, they're left with, at least there's an admission of intelligent design, like I said, and kick down the can route, you might get the best thing. Do you know what I mean? But I think most educated people realise that the evolutionary processes reported, it's that in some way, even if you give him the sand, it still comes from nothing. It's just because of the information.
What? Evolution? What's that?
I knew. That's why I said you have to forgive that. I did try and quantify it as just complete randomness, preformed, already encoded genetic material.
I couldn't let it go, Adam. I'm sorry.
Did you get me? But that's the point of it. When you do look at it, and I think the information what you've done really unveil the majesty of what's going on. But like I said, even with the flagellum, the complexity in that nano turbine is just beyond the chance of random probability.
that's the funny thing about that joke, right? The get your own dirt, because it's like, all right, God tells him to get his own dirt, but he's about to try to do that, made up of cells that he himself can't even recreate or create. Just think about how complex it is. We can't recreate the things that we're made of, like cells and shit, right? So you're about to try to do that, but you're already doing that based on the life that you already have. So get your own dirt. I mean, get your own cells. You know, I don't know. It's just crazy how complex it is. I think that just can pop out of nothing. That's insanity.
Yeah, it can't. It's a first law of thermodynamics violation.
Yeah.
It's a wrap.
Yeah. Like we can't even say anything. But it's quiet. It's like, yeah.
What else is left to say? Atheist, you have your shows and you have your podcast and you treat everyone like crap, like you're intellectual elites. Come see me. Right? Come on over and talk to me. Water's warm. No sharks. I'll tell you. I'll make a promise. I'll eviscerate you quick, and I have my wolf pups eat your entrails extremely fast. Okay? Thanks.
I love the ape making shows talking about, oh, people are stupid for believing in an intelligent creator. Yeah, all right. Wait, where did you get those thoughts from? Where did you get? How did you think about that? Where did the matter that incorporates your body? Where did that come from again?
Yeah, the moment they try and think about it, it violates their own worldview. Yes,
Exactly.
I think class.
I don't know, Nathan. We're pretty much done. We can go and get you could go down the list. Can you do that, or you want me to take that over for today?
I can do that.
Okay.
Let's just have a look who's in. We've got Brian's logic. Have we heard anything from Brian yet?
Yeah, I think he coughed or something. Brian.
Clearly not. We've also got Flat Arthur. Can I actually take him off mute? Don't think I can from my iPad.
Oh, you can't do it. I got him. Go ahead.
Hey, hello.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Same old shit. Nothing new. I'm just kidding. It was a great show. Loved it.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Same old, same old. There is a God. We've also got...
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Nathan. This is my first time talking to you. I've talked with Quantum Eraser before, but this is the first time. It's a major fan moment for me.
Right, okay. Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Flat Arthur. We've also
I'm sorry, come again?
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
We've also got Random Brown. There we go.
Hello.
Any questions, comments? Denial of God? Feel free.
This is an excellent show, and it's great to listen to philosophical arguments as well as scientific arguments. So it's just great to be here. Did you hear me?
Yeah. Pleasure to have you. Thank you for the kind words.
Great.
We've also got Really Facts 50.
That's it's unorthodox.
Unorthodox 50. Feel free. Any comments? Denial of God? Go ahead.
Sure. I'd just like to say I spent 30 years of my life looking for God, and he never showed up. And so if he wants to show up at any point and have a relationship, I'm more than open, but he seems to want to play hide and seek with everybody. He just needs to come say hello. That's it.
Really?
Okay.
Be
I'm
careful
sure-
what you wish for.
I
I
was
mean,
gonna-
is that too much to ask for? Right? I mean, isn't that what in the Bible I'm supposed to have a relationship with God?
Maybe you
So I
shouldn't be
want a
asking
relationship
us.
with God.
Maybe you should.
Oh,
Maybe you
hold
should
on,
ask
let him
him.
speak. Hold on, Chocolate. Go ahead, 50.
I mean, that's what it says in the Bible, right? Supposed to have a relationship with God. So that's what I expect. I want a relationship with God, not a relationship with my own mind. I want a relationship with God. Just like I have a relationship with any other person, right? How do you know you have a relationship with any other person, right? You have interactions, you have, conversations, connections, experiences with them. I would expect the same thing with God.
Well, I'm not a Christian, but from what I understand, what you require or what you are asking for, you're going to find it. I wouldn't be surprised at all if you get exactly what you want.
Like I said, I looked for 30 years, and that's kind of why I left the faith, is because I never could get that. Any hint of it whatsoever.
Okay. Did you listen to the show? Or have you just joined?
I was just gonna say.
I listened to a little bit of it. I mean, you guys were trying to infer him. You guys were trying to infer him intellectually. From what I got, I mean, that's kind of the gist of it, right? You're trying to make these intellectual arguments for God.
Well, maybe you should personify him a little less and just realize that he is there. Know God. Why you insist on some kind of personal social communication
Nothing
when
wrong
you
with
can
that.
just realize that he has to be there?
Because an absent God is no different from no God.
Ah, there we go. Now this is something I can jump on. No. The evidence is all around you. That was what we covered on the show.
Well, I find it strange that we have to infer his existence, and he can't just be present with us.
Okay, so if I slap a filet mignon steak in front of you, you're going to look at the chef and say, why can't the cow just be with us? Why does it have to infer its existence by way of this steak in front of me?
You realize I have fake meat now, right, Nathan?
Are you a vegan?
No.
You see my example, right?
But it doesn't work, though, because there's fake meat now.
No, because that's fake meat. It's not a filet mignon, is it?
Filet mignon.
Yeah, well, there's fake filet mignon now.
That would be fake filet mignon.
Fake.
Okay, let's give you a different example. What about honey? You accept that if it's anything other than honey, i.e. it would be synthetic, therefore not honey, right?
Sure, but I mean, that's the problem.
Okay,
I can't.
there is. Okay, so if I put some honey in front of you, are you going to plead for the bees to come? Or would you accept, by way of antecedent relationship, that you must have had a bee at some stage? Or do you need the bee to talk to you?
There's definitely synthetic forms of honey, Nathan.
Yeah, that's accepting that there are man-made honey. They're not honey, are they? I'm saying honey.
Well,
Yeah, who would say
then we would have
man-made
to-
honey would be created if there was no honey to take example from? How about that?
And yeah, you're kind of defining it to be such a certain way, so there's no other way it can be.
No, it's not. It's not a defining. It's antecedent, consequent relationships.
I mean, if it was that simple, then you'd have no problem. Everybody on Earth would believe in God, right? If it was so blatantly obvious, then it wouldn't be. You wouldn't have to argue for God. There wouldn't be apologists. There wouldn't be multiple different faiths. There'd just be this God that's obvious everywhere, right? And
there is. I think that is the case based on what we discussed here on the show. Obviously, you don't think so because your reasoning isn't that, though. Your original reasoning is that you don't have a relationship with God.
Yeah, I mean, but I also think there's a lack of evidence. I also think there's a lack of evidence of God in general.
Well, that's just simply not the case.
But Well, none of those arguments are valid. All of those were strong.
None of those arguments are valid. Hold on a second. Hold on a second, Arwen. Those are my arguments. Which arguments? Which one specifically, and show how you invalidate it?
Name any one of them.
DNA.
What about it?
What do you mean, what about it? How can you say my argument's invalid when you don't know my argument?
So your argument was DNA contains information?
Yeah.
And information can only be known. I don't believe that information has to have a knower.
Oh, information comes from other than an intelligent agent. Go ahead.
Well, if I'm correct, that you believe that information has to be an exchange, right? So I have to write a letter. You have to receive the letter.
Doesn't have to be a letter.
Well, I'm just saying that's kind of my example. Like I have to write something, and you have to
define information.
Pattern.
Nope.
That's my definition of information.
Oh, that's the problem.
Hold on. Let me try and take charge. Try and expand on your example with a letter. Let him give his example with the letter. Expand on that. I know you were going somewhere. Just feel free to continue.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I understand his take on information is, right? You have to have somebody write it down, or in whatever they want to do with it, they have to create it, and then they have to transmit it to somebody else, and somebody else has to receive it. So that's not my definition of information. My definition of information is I could write the letter and stick it in the drawer. It doesn't have to be received by anybody. It's still information. So we disagree on that right there.
Really? Are you an intelligent agent? Sliding scale, I realize, but are you an intelligent agent?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. You just destroyed your own argument.
You just snatched your own wig.
Not as intelligent as you.
Hold on. Let me just hold on. I'll stop a second. Do you understand what's just happened? First and foremost, feel free to say no. We're not going to berate you. We'll just reiterate what's just happened if you don't understand.
I don't understand what your argument is.
Your argument required write something down, did it not? Then you were asked if you were an intelligent agent.
Yes. The problem, though, is I didn't exchange it with another intelligent agent.
Yeah, the fundamental premise of what you've described required an intelligent agency, didn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
That's not his whole thing. His whole thing is that there has to be another intelligent agent that receives the letter.
No. Creator, right? There has to have been an intelligent agent, right, to start the process. Now, your example started with an intelligent agent starting the process off. But you haven't given an example that doesn't have that yet. Maybe you want to give a different example?
If there wasn't somebody there, unorthodox, if there wasn't somebody there to write the letter and put it in the desk, would there be a letter in the desk?
That's a silly question, Chocolate. Of course not.
So there must be an intelligent agency.
Thank you. You just destroyed yourself again.
You're arguing against a straw man. That's not my argument.
Well, to summarize your argument, you said that the way that information is being defined isn't your definition, and then you've given an example very specifically requires an intelligent agent, and now that's a straw man. Maybe you can break that down for us. Then, straw man. How is it a straw man?
Yes, in QE's example requires 2 intelligent agents. My example requires 1.
Doesn't require 2, but it requires because you misidentified what information was. So what you're doing, you're begging the question fallacy over your conjured definition of what information is, and then contorted your story to fit that definition. That's a begging the question fallacy on steroids.
I'm not begging the question at all.
Yeah, you are. I just showed how.
You're misidentifying the fallacy.
I'm not. I just showed it.
All you're doing is
conjuring a definition.
Yes,
we're not interested. Follow this. We're not interested in your definition. We're interested in the definition. Get it?
Okay, so where's the source? Quantum eraser?
Merriam-Webster. Information, the communication or reception of knowledge or intelligence. Inform is the key word. Inform. Get it?
So you wouldn't want to go with the scientific definition?
Inform, that is scientific. Scientific. Wait a second. Did this go through the scientific method?
I'm just saying you're going with Merriam-Webster. You don't want to go with like some physics.
Physics.
Or...
What's physical about information? Give me the physical nature of look out, there's a tiger behind you.
There's a tiger behind me.
No, not the tiger itself. The information. Give me the chemical formula or structure of look out, there's a tiger behind you.
200 hertz
Yeah.
to 1600 hertz over a certain span of time.
You're gamma spiraling.
Hold on.
I mean, that's how you transmit the information, through physical mediums.
I didn't talk about the medium. I'm talking about the information itself.
Well, the information itself is a pattern in the medium.
Nope. Pattern? Really? What type of pattern?
Hold on. Are you literally talking about a transmitter transmitting packets of data over? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, just speech in general. We're speaking. Whenever you speak, we're in air. We use different frequencies at different intervals to exchange information. Requires the physical. So the physicality is intervals and the frequency.
What?
No, it isn't. Because if, for the sake of argument, if you had two people with different languages, we know transfer of inform. You know the inform bit? Well, you're not informed if you're listening to somebody talking to you in Swahili and you don't understand it. So the fact that you've got a 200 hertz frequency being transmitted from one dude to another doesn't mean you've got information transfer. But what you did definitely require is an intelligent agency to produce those frequencies.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily the argument either.
That is the argument.
I was answering the question. The question was, what's the physical nature of the information? So I described the physical nature of the information. That was all.
Yeah, okay. But at the start of that process, regardless of what example you've given so far, you've got an intelligent agent at the beginning of it. Now, when you rewind all the way back to the beginning, which one are you going to pick out the ontological primitives? You're going to have nature creating stuff in violation of the first law, or an intelligent agent creating stuff, given that all of your examples so far have started with your trying to violate the definition of information by giving us examples of intelligent agencies passing things between one another.
I can give you tons of examples of information in nature that aren't two intelligent beings. But I was trying to go with kind of, you asked me to explain Quantum Eraser's understanding of, you asked me to explain my understanding of his definition of information.
That's not my definition.
That was Merriam-Webster. We're still not at the point where you've in any way violated any example leads you with the same conclusion that there must have been an intelligent agent at the beginning of it, because so far nothing. You've debated about what you think information means and said you haven't got a relationship personally with God. Okay, but that doesn't change the fact that there must have been an intelligent agent at the beginning of the process, regardless of whether or not I agree with you about whether or not people need to have a personal relationship with what I know is obvious. There was a creator. There can't have not been. There must have been an intelligent agent.
So isn't that the black swan fallacy, though? Right? All swans are white. All information is exchanged between intelligent beings.
The black swan fallacy.
Wow, you still don't even understand the black swan fallacy.
Black swan fallacy, right?
Wow.
The one you committed.
Could be a black swan.
The one you committed.
The one you were committing while charging us with committing it. It's hilarious.
You guys like to identify fallacies. What you're describing.
Yeah, we identified you as being fallacious. Yeah. So I said, show how information is physical. You didn't show that.
I think I showed that very easily.
Really? So let's take a look at Norbert Weiner, professor of mathematics, MIT. Information is information, neither matter nor energy. Right here, you're done. You're toast.
Yeah, I'd like to read the rest of that citation.
Yeah, go ahead.
And maybe send that to me, and I'll
go ahead. It's not my job. I gave you the citation right here. It's from Weiner N. Cybernetics or control and communication in the animal and the machine. Has the reference 1948 in Paris. There you go. That's all you need. Go get it.
To his credit, he's just saying, yeah, give me it. I'll have a look.
Yeah.
What's his take on God?
I don't really care.
Don't really care.
No, because you don't need the because you don't need the different. I don't care what he believes. I don't care what his favorite color is or whether he's a Democrat or Republican. All I'm concerned with what he has to say about information, sir.
So you're using
ad homing.
Not ad homing. You're using his definition of information to come to a conclusion about God, right?
Now, he didn't define it. He just said what it was and what it wasn't.
Okay, well, you're using his explanation to come to a conclusion.
Not really.
God.
Not really. I know that information isn't matter nor energy.
Well, whatever. You're using him as a witness of understanding.
He's a witness, but I already know it. Unless you can provide chemical formula or structure, charge, matter, momentum, or spin, or milli-electron volts, kcals, or kilojoules for look out, there's a tiger behind you, this stands. I don't really need him.
I could absolutely do that.
Oh, really? Go ahead.
Well, you'd have to give me a little bit of time to put it together for you. But
Go ahead. Yep, I'll give you all the time you want. That's fine.
Well, I mean, it'd have to be like tomorrow or something. But I'll tell you what, I'll record it, and I'll get you the frequency.
Frequency.
And the air pressure.
That's the medium.
Gonna get the
I'll
air
give you
pressure
everything you
of
need.
without
Let
there's
me
a
ask
tiger
let me ask
behind you.
Yes.
Are you all right, man?
I'll give you all the information you want.
If you give us the frequency, right?
Dude.
Hold on, guys. You're going to give us the frequency. Your first example was writing something down. So that's a totally different medium to transmit the information via. There's no air movement when you write it down on a pen and paper, right?
Oh, no, I mean, who said there was only one method here to transmit information?
But now we're talking about information itself. So, for example, when you asked for an amount of time, right, you communicated that you required a certain amount of time to look at a reference. What's the physicality for that which you requested? That would be a transfer of information. Your request was a piece of information that you passed from you to QE. Give me the weight for it or the calories for it. Go.
Like I said, give me a little bit of time. I could get back to you with that tomorrow.
Yeah, that's information. Repeated the information. I'm saying qualify the information in terms of how many calories.
Calories wouldn't apply to this, Nathan.
Give me anything physical. Give me the spin value.
Frequency
would apply
frequency
to
isn't
this.
physical.
No.
Frequency isn't physical. Pressure
No,
isn't physical.
that's the form of communication. That's not the information itself.
Yeah, it's the medium, not the information itself. You have the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
I tried to cover that. Like, God, I just explained this with the paper. The paper's not a frequency, right? But it would be the same information that's passed. If you wrote down in chat, need a week to look at it, there'd be no frequency of air movement. That's just the medium. I tried to explain that with a comparison with the paper. Bloody hell, this is getting tedious.
You're describing the composition of the ink or the structure of the crayon that you're writing in, as opposed to the information that what you use that ink or crayon for, the information you use it to convey. You understand? You can go into the frequency of the sound we're speaking, whatever. It's still nature of the crayon you're describing, not what you use the crayon for.
The information is
Not to mention there's also the agreement of both parties to use English so that both parties know what the hell each other is saying. Which requires what? Unorthodox?
I don't understand how that would have any relation to this argument whatsoever.
Because you're not even trying to understand.
I'll tie it together for you. I'll tie it together for you. Your assertion takes something into the physical. You're trying to qualify it with pens and papers, air movement, whatever you're trying to qualify it with. But information isn't physical; it's supernatural.
Supernatural.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're reifying. You're reifying the information into a physical substance.
Can you define supernatural for me?
It's not physical.
Above nature.
Above nature.
Yep.
But it's literally part of nature.
No, above nature.
Like super.
Super.
Like, you know, the reason Superman is super?
Because
Shush, that's because he can fly. Shh, that's physical.
chocolate.
Turn time back.
So the information is the pattern, and for the pattern to exist, the physicality must exist.
What
as well.
pattern?
A knower. You're asking, right? You're not going to give me anything physical in terms of, even if you try and qualify it by the medium it's conveyed, which is what you've tried twice. You're never going to give it me in physical terms. I think the example QE gives is, look out, there's a tiger behind you. Well, that's a convey of information between two parties, but the information itself isn't physical. It's supernatural.
I don't know how you could say that's supernatural whatsoever, because I can quantify basically every aspect of it. I can identify every single aspect of it, write it down, repeat it, record it.
Go ahead. We want the chemical formula for lookout. There's a tiger behind you. Not the medium, the actual information. Like I said, you have the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
The information would be the pattern.
No, you're still repeating the same thing.
No, it's not.
I'm not saying
the same shit.
Go ahead, Adam.
You guys were thinking I was saying that the information is the physical thing itself. But that's not what I'm saying.
The physical thing.
Let me
Go ahead,
explain
Adam.
it to you a little bit. Just probably, if we were to use flat Earth vernacular, if you weren't in this world, you didn't have the information, prior information, that if I said to you, stop rumpusing me, you would stand there, and even though you heard the word just like everybody else, wouldn't comprehend them. There would be no information conveyed between me and you what that rumpusing meant. It would just be, as been said earlier, it could be just as well be Swahili. You may have them pick up that frequency, but you haven't received the information being conveyed.
Okay, but I don't understand how this gets us anywhere to God. Like, if I give you everything you're saying, it still doesn't
An
get us to
acceptance
God.
that you've moved on with that. Is that okay? Now I concede the point. Was that?
Well, I'm just saying I'll give it to you just for the sake of argument. How does that get us to God?
That's very gracious of you, sir. Thank you very much.
So how does that get us to God?
Yeah, because information
Not
is
because you understand it now, for
Okay.
the sake of argument. Clarify.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Don't understand
let's
it.
just say that I'll
Just
go
moving
with.
on.
I'll go with your argument.
But,
But-
hold on, he's trying to give the segue. Go ahead, QE. How does this link to God?
Yeah, because you can't have information without the necessary antecedent and intelligent agent.
Oh, so that's where we disagree. I don't believe you have to have an intelligent agent.
It's not a case of agree or disagree. That's where your problem is.
Well, that's the black swan fallacy. So we're back to fallacies again.
The black swan fallacy.
Dude, it's supernatural law.
Oh my God.
How would you know supernatural law?
Because if there's information, there needs to be a knower, or it doesn't mean anything.
We've tried that with him, but just for kicks and giggles, right? Go ahead. Feel free to expand on that, 50.
Well, I mean, I'll just expand on the fact that that's the literal textbook definition of the black swan fallacy. Our only examples of this are from intelligent beings, so therefore there's only white swans. There's no black swans, right?
No. Stop. Don't mix the analogy in the example. That's not going to help. Explain it by example, with the example, not mixing in the analogy. Give us what this means. You want to translate it into how that compares to the black swan after the fact, then fine. But just give us your example. Mix in black swans or white swans into your example.
Okay, well, the fallacy is you've only seen white swans. Therefore,
we know the Karl Popper analogy. We want yours, for the love of God.
I'm using his. I'm using the classic example. Why would I use something that's not widely known versus something that's widely known?
Because we're not trying to prove the existence of black swans. We know they exist, whereas we're actually arguing about the existence of the creator. So you could give us the Karl Popper black swan analogy, and then we'd all conclude at the end that there are black swans. Or you could actually example your example by analogy and then link it into the black swan without peppering in bloody white swans in your actual example. Can you do that?
I don't know why you're trying to mix this up so much. It was pretty simple. I was mixing the well-known analogy with exactly what we're talking about. It should have been very clear.
No, it won't be.
problem.
You're mixing. Mixing isn't giving clarity. Mixing is mixing. You don't know what mixing means.
So the only example we have, let's just say I give you this. The only example we have of information is that it's an exchange of patterns between two intelligent entities. Let's just say I give you that. Okay. Still have the black swan fallacy. Still have, you've never seen it exist. That's not a form of two entities exchanging information. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because that's the black swan fallacy.
Well, then show it.
You don't have to show it. That's just
Yes, you do.
Fallacy itself.
No, it's not.
You're not
Think about
proving. You're not proving anything with that.
You can't show. You can't.
That's the whole point of the black swan.
Hello. Hold on. No, it's word salad. I don't even understand what the black swan is or how it relates. In your example, what are the white swans in your example by comparison?
The information exchange between, like, if I just go by Quantum's definition, the information exchange between two intelligent beings.
Okay, so white swans are the assumption that information is only the transfer of data between intelligent beings. Okay, and you're saying that's violated by a black swan. What's your black swan then?
Just information existing in its own right.
No, that's just your statement. What examples that statement? Moreover, a fundy belief that we've debunked. But what demonstrates it? Not your statement. You know, we have a picture. So we don't just say the black swan and then babble on about swans. We present a piece of evidence that demonstrates a point, i.e. the horizon beyond the geometric limits, by way of a photograph showing the horizon beyond the geometric limits. So what's your black swan?
No, this is philosophy, Nathan. This is
you're
philosophy.
No,
so
you're
you don't
this
present
isn't philosophy. You're a moron.
You don't present
you don't have a black
physical
swan.
examples.
The black swan argument is not philosophy.
You don't present physical examples in philosophy.
It's an analogy. You're making an analogy with the black swan, and the example needs something that destroys the assumption. And the assumption is that we need intelligent agency for the transfer of information, according to you. That's a white swan. And what's the thing that destroys it? What's this nail in the coffin like our picture? Is your response, it's philosophy?
Information being exchanged between two non-intelligent entities.
If that's your claim, as exampled by, now you need a picture of a black swan.
This is philosophy, Nathan.
Oh, that's your picture. Your picture, like our example with a picture, is you saying it's philosophy. You're done.
Yeah, well, that's kind of.
So you have
what
an idea, but you have no
philosophy.
example. That's what it's come down.
Yeah, his example is to say it's philosophy. That's his example.
Yeah, I mean, it's a literal.
Stop stuttering. Sit down. Shut up. You've got nothing. You're done.
It's a literal textbook example of a black swan fallacy, and you guys somehow don't understand that.
No, black swan fallacies have actual physical examples. You're dumb.
I said my piece, and if you guys can't.
Well, appreciate that it's philosophy, yeah. If we can't appreciate that, because we don't understand that you not having an example at the end and saying it's philosophy doesn't mean anything. Just you're babbling nonsense. Yeah, we do understand you have nothing. You need an intelligent agency for the transfer of information. It's supernatural, and that's the start of the process. Well, if you need a supernatural intelligent agency at the beginning of a process and you can't create stuff out of nothing, then there must be a God.
I think we can move on.
We have got Don Gio. How you doing, Don? I can't hustle him off me, by the way.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm on it. Go ahead, Don. You're off mute.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
What's up?
Hi, going well.
No, that's awesome, man. Love you. I love the work you guys do, man. Keep it up, man. Doing a really tremendous job, the Flat Earth.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. It is actually my job, Pete and Peter.
Yeah, right.
That's Pete and Peter. Random Brown, we've had you already. Real Facts 50, we've had Skeptical. How you doing?
Got him.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, how are you guys?
Doing great. Saturday.
Oh, that's great, guys. So honestly, obviously, like usual, thank you guys. Keep up the good work, and I wish thank you, quantum erase, and thank you, Nathan, as well, for the marvelous content of today. Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it, sir.
QE put in at least 10% of the work, so I can't take all the credit. Moving on, we've got something old, new. Feel free to deny God or information itself. No, nothing. Travis, how you doing? You hear us?
Hey, how you doing, guys? Great show. Looks like we only had one baller. I just want to commend 50 for actually coming on here and having the stomach to speak to us all. So it's great. I just wanted to ask him directly if he agrees with the true dichotomy laid out in the presentation. Over.
Get that, 50. Do you agree with the ontological primitives as presented?
No. No.
What are they? Do you know what they are, first and foremost?
God or no God?
Not exactly, no.
Okay, well, then tell me what they are.
Nature or intelligent design? Nature or intelligent design? Intelligent agency.
Okay, so I've always heard it God or no God, so I'll give you that.
Okay, but you don't agree with them? Do you think there's a third option?
Well, no. Well, whenever I've heard it presented as God, whenever I've heard it presented as God versus no God, there's always a third option, gods. So if you just define it that way, then there's no third option. I don't have a problem with your definition.
Happy with that, Travis? Anything more from you, Travis? Thank you, 50. Also, I'll echo that. Thank you for stepping up.
No, that's all. That's all for me. I just wanted to see if he agreed with it. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll echo it again. So yeah, at least 50's got the gumption to step up and actually put his position forward. Kudos. I don't think there's anybody else. I think that's it.
Go ahead. We can go final thoughts, channel shout outs, and the like, sir.
We don't need to introduce ourselves. I'm sure we can work our way down the list starting with Arwin. But actually make sure you do actually plug your channel, Arwin. Yeah, so the early bird is where I'm from. Where the hell's he gone?
He's already done it at the beginning of the show. I think he said, well, I already did it, so why do I have to do it again? Arwin.
Well,
yeah.
If he doesn't, I'll do it.
He's back.
Plug your show.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just pouring in my new tea downstairs. But yes, Flat Earth Early Bird Show every day, 1 p.m. Amsterdam time. 2-hour show these days. Hope to see you there. I interact with my chat a lot. And well, today I've had a guest on since a very long time. Was very interesting, very refreshing to me to have different setup. And yeah, just keep on going. Not as many shows as Nathan, but of course I'm never going to catch up to that. Since we both, well, maybe at some point I would catch up at a couple of years. What do you think, Nathan?
Maybe, yeah. It's because I did 2 shows a day, every day, for about a year and a half, and then slowly, incrementally edged it back once the show built a reputation. But you do 7 days a week, whereas I don't. I do 5. That said, I do have new material coming out daily. I'm about to plug the show that's going to come out as soon as this one finishes. So there is new stuff coming out every day.
Yeah, you got a lot more programming, and I really do appreciate it, by the way. I really typically like to hang around in the chat and listen back, because participating with a show is very different from actually listening back a show. And things stand out when you're just listening back that don't really stand out as you're doing things. And so, yeah, so you can, when you listen it a second time, you learn something new. And I really appreciate doing that. So love your channel, Nathan. Keep it going. Flat Earth debate forever.
You're supposed to be plugging your show. It's your shout out.
And
It's
Flat
your
Earth
show.
Bird for as long as I can hold out. Now, it is fun. It's fun to do it. I am dynamic, not just talking about Flat Earth, but about everything as much as I can. You know, I don't really like to talk about very negative subjects, but sometimes shit happens, and who's going to take, people are going to talk about it, and I try to find some purpose for everything. Because I really like to help people out there deal with the craziness of the world, because I'm dealing with it. So,
all right, thanks, Arwen.
See you there.
Yeah, appreciate it. Hey, Nathan, before you continue, I'd like to shout out a couple super chats. It's One Fodder Unit. He didn't have any message. Thanks for the super chat. And then we have Retro Bill. He said, I'm confused, QE. Are you saying that all those time-lapse pics of fish evolving to man are just drawings? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes, Retro Bill. It's a joke. And what's evolving? Go ahead, Nathan. Thanks, Retro Bill.
We'll get to Brian. We haven't heard anything from you. You gave him a bit of a nudge when he first joined, moaned about his level being too loud, but I don't think we've heard a word since. Are you there, Brian?
Let's go.
Go ahead, Brian. You're off mute.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, sorry about that. My phone went dead, and when I came back on, I was back on server mute. No, good presentation. All I say about it is concerning the ballers and that, and those who don't believe in a creator. How do they explain the emotion of love? How do they explain that? Because that's supernatural as well. I mean, there's a chemical process that happens after that, but the emotion is the cause of the chemical process. They explain that. Question?
No, they can't. Because as soon as they start thinking about it, it violates their worldview. Do you want to do a shout out, Brian? Because I've been plugging your channel recently on the Flat Earth debate. Because you've been putting out some good videos recently. Feel free to plug your own channel, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan. Thanks, QE. Brian's Logic on YouTube. Just like, subscribe, comment. Thank you.
Excellent plug. That's Brian's Logic YouTube channel. Chocolate.
Cool to be here. Great presentation, John. Yeah, just catch me on Flat Earth Debates, Oakley, 24/7, Flat Earth Discord 2.0. Shout out to them. Yeah, man, just keep doing it.
Can you also, because people often ask me, how do I find Chocolate's specific channel, and they don't know because they probably can't spell Chocolate saying. But just for the audience's benefit, can you spell out what is your channel name? Because you have got content on there now, people can find you.
Right, it's Chocolate Saying, one word. Chocolate, Sayyan. Chocolate Saying. Yeah, I got a couple of guys are into hip hop. I got a couple of songs on there. Hopefully soon there'll be more.
Ooh, new album coming?
A new album on the horizon.
I didn't say album.
Yeah, but you know it's happening anyway.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, on that subject, did you hear Tommy Hench's most recent song?
Yes. I enjoyed the hell out of that song.
I loved it.
Man,
I thought
it was great.
Oh, that really rapid one?
Yeah, it's really fast. I love that. That's nice.
Yep. Shout out to Tommy Hench for that.
Have you heard that, QE?
I have not. Somebody asked. I think Anthony asked me that this morning. I have not.
Well, it's because he mentions you. He's talking to in the lyrics. I think he's talking to Conspiracy
part
Cats.
Of the hook.
And you're part of the hook for the reply that won't come from Conspiracy Cats about gas pressure without a container. So he's barking like answer QE in the rap. It's absolutely brilliant. You must check it out.
Yeah.
Well, somebody send it to me, would you?
We will, but we'll give his channel a shout out as well. He also produces good content. I only recently subscribed to Tommy Hench, And I've been watching his videos, and it's good. He trims out good sections where he's obviously put input and had people over a barrel. He puts out music, obviously. He's doing it. I assume he's doing it with his phone, so don't hold him to task on the quality level. That's not the point. But the rap itself is epic, and if you listen to this, Tommy, I was grinning ear to ear. I listened to the entire thing, and that is a compliment in itself.
Cool.
Just saying that.
I'm looking forward to it then. Thanks.
Yeah, you get proper mention. Thank you, Chocolate. Hold on one sec. We've also got the Adam Meakin, last but by no means least.
Cheers, fellas. Cheers, John. I like that one.
I'll be a Genesis for the post, but I do enjoy that one. So fundamentally for me, back in my past, pre-Flat Earth, this bit's fundamental for me progressing, making that acceptance. Here's a smart ass kid, you go off to uni and all this science, and that obviously proves God doesn't exist, doesn't it? So yeah, thanks, mate. Other than that, just one top tip, Arwin. If we're chasing Nathan, stop doing 1 2-hour show a day. Go to 2 1-hour shows a day. You'll catch him up a bit quicker.
What? What do you mean?
That's very good advice. That's what I did originally. Precisely that. So I had 1 2-hour show a day, and then to spread it out a little bit, I did 2 1-hour shows a day, and then obviously pared it back after. But Alwyn's past that though. He's established his reputation. Anyway, I still think it's good advice doing 2 shows a day.
I'm kind of liking it. I did 2-hour show. I started doing that because I just had a lot on my chest. Now I don't have as much on my chest, but I still kind of like the room in a way. But yeah, my show still keeps going. Sometimes I'm a little low energy, but it's always going to be in that. There's ups and downs, but still very entertaining. And I got really great people in chat these days with great questions, and I really love that stuff. Because then there's always something interesting to talk about. Get me going.
Perfect. We've also got Quantum Racer himself. So what have you got in the pipeline, QE? What have you got coming up on Tuesday?
I think I'm going to run a debate. It's with the physics student on Tuesday. And like I said, I finished up those top 50 boneheaded statements. I don't know what I'm going to do with those. I'll think about it after the show and publish them somewhere. So the next one is definitely going to be a debate. It's a physics student. And in a couple weeks, there's going to be an evolution debate with Kosho decided to step into the arena. That wasn't a very smart move, by the way. And talk about evolution, whatever that is. And yes, I'm still laughing. So that's coming up too. So that's all for now.
Perfect. Just left for me to shout out myself. So
yes, sir.
Be here or be sphere for brand new Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show, which is going out on my second channel, which is the Nathan Oakley channel right now. So I've been spamming a link in the Quantum Eraser YouTube chat. So check it out. Hopefully I'll pin it so you can all see it nice and clearly. But yeah, be here or be sphere for that. And subscribe to my main channel, which is Nathan Oakley 1980. Not subscribed already. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to, first and foremost, all of the Ballbusters panel for making today's show possible. And, of course, a massive thank you to all of the participants from the public arena in Discord. So a huge thank you to you. And, obviously, a massive thank you to all of you who tuned in live, smashed the super chat, commented, shared, subscribed, and stuff. Massive thank you to Quantum Eraser. I've been Nathan Oakley, and we will see you all in the next video.